Listen carefully, this is not a coincidence. You didn't stumble upon these words by chance. This moment is yours, and if you let it slip through your fingers, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering why you didn't listen. Because right now, the world is watching you, waiting to see if you'll crumble like they've always expected, or if you'll finally rise like the phoenix they never saw coming. You feel it, don't you? That weight pressing against your chest, the voices in your head, the ones that echo louder than your heartbeat, telling you that you're not enough, telling you to give up. And those voices, they're not just yours, they're theirs. The ones who doubted you, the ones who laughed when you dreamed out loud, the ones who smirked when you stumbled, who whispered behind your back, I knew they couldn't do it. They wanted you to fail. And some of them still do. But let me tell you something about failure. It's not what they think it is. It's not a final destination. It's not the coffin they tried to bury you in. No, failure is the fire that forges the unbreakable. It's the storm that tests the strength of your roots. It's the proving ground for the warriors of this world, and make no mistake, you are a warrior. Even if you don't feel like it right now. Even if your hands are trembling, your knees are weak, and your mind is full of doubt. They've been watching, watching from the sidelines, waiting for you to fall. Some of them, friends, family, strangers, thought they were doing you a favor when they told you to stay in your lane, play it safe. Don't aim too high, don't speak too loud, don't shine too bright. They told you that because they're afraid of what happens when someone like you decides to break free from the limits they set. Because your success will blind them. It will shatter the illusions they've built around their small, comfortable lives. You've been underestimated, haven't you? They looked at you and saw someone easy to overlook, someone they could control, dismiss, ignore. They mistook your silence for weakness, your struggles for failure, your kindness for naivety. They didn't see the storm brewing inside you, the fire that refuses to go out no matter how much water they pour on it. They didn't see it, but you've always felt it, haven't you? That quiet, relentless hunger, that defiance, that voice inside you whispering you're meant for more, and yet here you are, questioning yourself, wondering if maybe they're right, maybe you don't have what it takes, maybe it's safer to stay small, to blend in, to keep your head down. After all, the world has a way of punishing those who dare to rise. But let me ask you this, what's the cost of staying where you are? Of shrinking yourself to fit their expectations? Of living a life that feels like a slow, suffocating death? Because that's what they want, isn't it? For you to stay in the shadows, for you to doubt yourself so much that you never even try. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. You were never meant to stay small. You were never meant to play it safe. You were never meant to live a life dictated by their fears, their doubts, their limitations. You are more than what they see. You are more than what they think. And the moment you realize that, the moment you decide to step into your power and claim what's yours, that's the moment everything changes. Character 3 shares example 3. Older sister's mother defined by hatred, nails, tooth, graffiti, gold. Not just for you, but for everyone who ever doubted you. They think they know you, but they don't. They see the surface, the cracks, the scars, but they don't see the depths. They don't see the resilience that's been forged through years of struggle. They don't see the dreams you've been nursing in the quiet hours, the ones you've kept hidden because you were afraid of being laughed at. But those dreams, they're still alive, aren't they? They're still waiting for you to stop caring about what they think and start caring about what you want. This isn't just about proving them wrong. It's not about revenge or spite. It's about freedom. Freedom from their expectations. Freedom from the chains you've wrapped around yourself. Freedom to finally become who you were always meant to be. Because deep down, you know the truth. You've always known it. You're not like them. You never were. You're not here to live a quiet, forgetful life. You're here to break the rules, to challenge the status quo, to burn so brightly that the world has no choice but to take notice. So here's the question you need to answer, right here, right now. Are you going to let them win? Are you going to let their doubts, their fears, their small-mindedness define your story? Or are you going to rise? Because let me tell you, the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to stand up and fight for it. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you a golden ticket. This is your fight, your journey, your victory, and it starts today. They wanted you to fail, but they didn't count on your resilience. They didn't count on your hunger. They didn't count on the fire inside you that refuses to die. And when you rise, and you will rise, they won't know what hit them. Your success will blind them, not because you wanted to hurt them, but because they never imagined you could shine so brightly. They won't be able to ignore you, and when that day comes, you won't need their validation, because you'll know, deep in your bones, that you were always meant to rise. This is your wake-up call. This is your moment. The world is watching. What are you going to do? You've been carrying this weight for so long that you almost don't feel it anymore, don't you? It's become part of you, like a shadow that clings to your every step. But let's not pretend you don't notice it. You do. You notice it every time you sit alone with your thoughts, staring at the ceiling at night, replaying the moments that broke you. The sharp words, the cold stares, the silent dismissals that cut deeper than any blade. You feel it in the spaces where your confidence used to live, in the cracks left behind by people who swore they had your back until they didn't. Think back to the first time you felt it. The first time someone made you question your worth. Maybe it was a careless remark from a friend, a teacher, a parent, someone you trusted to see you for who you were. You're not good enough, they said. Maybe not in those exact words, but the message was clear. And that moment planted a seed of doubt that's grown over the years, fed by every rejection, every failure, every moment you felt like you didn't belong. You've been betrayed, haven't you? By people who promised to stand by you, only to leave when things got hard. By the world that told you to dream big, but then laughed when you dared to reach for more. By a system designed to keep you in your place, to make you believe that the life you've been handed is the only one you deserve. And the worst part? Sometimes you believe them. You believe the whispers that said, "Who do you think you are?" You believe the lie that your dreams were too big, too impossible, too much for someone like you. They made you small, and they did it on purpose. Because small is safe. Small doesn't challenge the status quo. Small doesn't make them uncomfortable. They told you to lower your voice, to hide your ambition, to fit into the box they built for you. Don't make waves, they said. Don't draw attention to yourself. And so piece by piece, you dimmed your light. You swallowed your words. You shrank yourself until you barely recognized who you were anymore. But deep down, even in your smallest moments, you knew this wasn't right. You knew you were made for more. Let's talk about those moments, the ones that haunt you. The time you poured your heart into something, only for someone to tear it apart like it was nothing. The time you walked into a room full of people who looked right past you, as if you were invisible. The time you opened up to someone, only for them to use your vulnerability against you. Every one of those moments left a mark, didn't it? And now, you carry those marks with you, like scars on your soul. But let me tell you something about scars. They're not just reminders of pain. They're proof that you survived. You've been underestimated more times than you can count. People looked at you and saw what they wanted to see. Someone ordinary, someone easy to dismiss. They didn't see the nights you stayed up fighting battles no one else could see. They didn't see the strength it took to keep going when everything in you screamed to give up. They didn't see the fire burning in your chest, the one you've kept alive despite every attempt to snuff it out. And that's their mistake, because the most dangerous people in the world are the ones who've been overlooked, the ones who've had to fight for every inch of their worth, the ones who've learned to rise in silence, without applause, without recognition. You've been ridiculed, haven't you? They laughed when you dared to dream. They called you naive, foolish, delusional. They told you to be realistic, to stop reaching for things you could never have. And maybe, just maybe, a part of you started to believe them. Maybe you started to tell yourself the same things. What if they're right? What if I'm not enough? But let me ask you this. Who are they to decide what you're capable of? Who are they to dictate the limits of your life? They don't know you, not really. They don't know the battles you've fought, the strengths you've built, the dreams you've kept alive in the quiet corners of your mind. And society? Society has a way of piling on, doesn't it? It tells you that your worth is tied to your appearance, your achievements, your bank account. It convinces you that you're in constant competition, that you have to prove yourself over and over again just to be seen. But here's the thing. Society doesn't get to define you. The world doesn't get to tell you who you are. That power belongs to you, and only you. I know you felt alone in this, like no one sees you, no one understands. But let me tell you something. You're not alone. There are millions of people out there who've been told the same lies, who felt the same pain, who've carried the same scars. And every one of them has the same choice you have right now, to stay small or to rise. Because no matter how much they've tried to bury you, your strength is still there. To answer this question in Rise brought to you in Answers, and of trying to create that space where people can share their stories. It's in every step you've taken, every obstacle you've overcome, every time you've gotten back up after falling. So let's stop pretending that you're broken. You're not. You're bruised, yes. Scarred, maybe. But broken, no. Broken means defeated, and you're still here, aren't you? Still breathing, still fighting, still dreaming. And as long as you're still here, there's hope. Hope that you can rise from this. Hope that you can take everything they've thrown at you and use it as fuel to become something greater than they ever imagined. You've been through hell, no doubt about it. But the fact that you're still standing, that's proof of your strength. And if you can survive the worst they've thrown at you, imagine what you can do when you finally decide to fight for yourself. Because that strength you've been using to survive, it's the same strength that will help you thrive. It's the same strength that will make your success so blinding, they won't know it hit them. This is your story, your struggle, your pain. but it's also your strength, your power, your victory waiting to happen. And no matter how much they've tried to keep you small, no matter how much they've doubted you, they can't stop what's coming. Because the fire inside you, it's still burning, and when you let it loose, the world will finally see what you're capable of. Let's get real. Let's stop pretending. You've been standing on this edge for far too long, staring down into the abyss of your own doubts, fears, and failures. You don't have to tell me how it feels. I already know. It's like a weight pressing on your chest, so heavy that it feels impossible to breathe. Like a whisper in the back of your mind that says, why even bother? And you've wondered, haven't you? You've wondered if it's even worth it. If fighting, trying, hoping is just a cruel game you keep losing. This is what despair feels like. It's the slow unraveling of dreams you once held so tightly. It's the voice of every failure, every rejection, every person who said you'd never make it. Despair doesn't come all at once. It sneaks in, piece by piece. It shows up in the quiet moments when the world has gone to sleep and it's just you and your thoughts. It pulls at you when you try to imagine a better life, whispering, "You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not enough." Let's talk about the cost of this despair. Let's lay it all out, raw and unfiltered. Because staying stuck here, it's not just stealing your dreams, it's stealing your life. Every time you let those doubts win, you lose a piece of yourself. Every time you choose comfort over courage, you let another dream slip away. And the scariest part, you don't even notice it happening. It's a slow erosion, a gradual fading of the person you were meant to be. Until one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. Think about the opportunities you've let pass you by, the chances you didn't take because you were afraid of failing, the relationships you didn't fight for because you didn't think you deserved them, the dreams you buried because the world convinced you they were impossible. How many times have you told yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow," knowing deep down that tomorrow might never come? How many times have you settled for less because you were too afraid to ask for more? And what about the people who love you, the ones who look at you and see your potential, even when you can't? How many times have you pushed them away because you couldn't believe in yourself? How many times have you let your pain build walls between you and the people who could have helped you tear them down? Despair doesn't just isolate you, it infects everything it touches. It fractures relationships, shatters trust, and leaves you feeling more alone than ever. But the worst part? The worst part is the emptiness, that hollow ache in your chest that no amount of distraction can fill. Because deep down, you know the truth. You know you're capable of more. You know you're meant for more. And every day you stay stuck, every day you let despair win, is another day you waste the gift of your potential. Let me ask you this. Is this how you want your story to end? Is this the legacy you want to leave behind? A life of what-ifs and could-have-beens? A life defined by fear, doubt, and regret? Because that's where this road leads. If you keep letting despair drive your decisions, you'll wake up one day and realize that life has passed you by. And you can't get those days back. You can't rewind the clock and try again. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way. Despair is not your destiny. Hopelessness is not your home. This is not the end of your story. It's a crossroads, a moment of choice, and the choice is yours. Will you keep letting the weight of despair hold you down, or will you finally stand up and fight for the life you deserve? You don't have to have all the answers right now. You don't have to fix everything overnight, but you do have to make a decision. You have to decide that you're done letting fear and doubt dictate your life. You have to decide that your dreams are worth fighting for, even if it's hard, even if it's messy, even if it feels impossible. Because here's the truth, the pain you're feeling right now, it's temporary. The despair that feels so overwhelming, it doesn't have to last forever. But the regret of giving up, that's permanent. That's the kind of pain you carry with you for the rest of your life. And I know that's not what you want. I know you don't want to look back on your life and wonder what could have been if you'd just tried one more time. So here's my challenge to you. Stop waiting for someone to save you. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect opportunity, because those things don't exist. The only thing that's real is this moment, right here, right now. And in this moment, you have a choice to keep living in despair or to start fighting for hope. This isn't going to be easy. It's going to take everything you have and then some. But you've been through hard things before, haven't you? You've survived things you thought would break you. You've gotten back up when the world knocked you down. And if you can survive that, you can survive this. You can rise from this. You can take the pain, the doubt, the fear, and use it as fuel to become something greater than you ever imagined. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who refuse to give up. The ones who stare despair in the face and say, "You don't own me." The ones who take their pain and turn it into power. And that's who you are. You just have to decide to see it. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of the moment when everything starts to change. The moment you realize that the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to keep going. So what's it going to be? Will you stay stuck in despair, or will you rise? The choice is yours. Now listen carefully, because this is the part where everything changes. This is where the storm inside you begins to calm, where the chaos in your mind finds its purpose. You've stared into the depths of despair long enough, and it's time to turn that pain into something powerful. It's time to stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as the architect of your destiny. Because here's the truth: you are not broken. You are not defeated. You are a masterpiece in progress. And every struggle you've faced has been shaping you for this very moment. Think about it. Every scar, every tear, every sleepless night, they weren't just random acts of suffering. They were lessons, tests, and trials meant to forge you into something unshakable. You see, life doesn't hand greatness to anyone. It demands you earn it. And that's exactly what you've been doing, even when you didn't realize it. Every time you got back up after being knocked down, you were building resilience. Every time you faced rejection and kept moving forward, you were proving your strength. You've been fighting battles in the shadows, and now it's time to step into the light. Let's reframe this. Let's take all that pain, all that doubt, all that fear, and use it as fuel. Because that's what it was meant for, not to destroy you, but to transform you. Think of yourself as a sword being forged in fire. The heat, the pressure, the hammering, it hurts, yes, but it's also what gives the blade its strength. Without the fire, without the struggle, there's no edge, no power, no purpose. And you're being forged into something unstoppable. Look back for a moment, not with regret, but with pride. Look at everything you've survived. The moments when you thought you couldn't go on but did anyway. The times when the world felt too heavy, yet you carried it on your shoulders. Reflect on the strength it took to get here. Maybe you don't think it's much, but let me tell you, it's everything. You've already proven that you can endure. Now it's time to prove that you can thrive. You've been looking for a hero, haven't you? Someone to swoop in and save you, to tell you that everything's going to be okay. But here's the thing no one tells you. The hero you've been waiting for is already inside you. It's been there all along, quietly waiting for you to see it. You don't need someone else to save you. You have the power to save yourself. You have the strength, the wisdom, the fire. Happier has sympathy, not happiness. Sympathy, it's been buried beneath the rubble of your doubts, but it's there. And now, it's time to uncover it. Let's talk about control. For too long, you've been letting the world dictate your story. You've been living according to other people's rules, other people's expectations, other people's fears. But what if I told you that you don't have to play by their rules anymore? What if I told you that you have the power to rewrite the narrative, to take control of your life and steer it in any direction you choose? Because you do. You've always had that power. You just forgot. Imagine what's possible when you stop living in fear and start living in purpose. Imagine what happens when you decide to stop running from your pain and start using it as a weapon. Think about it. Every failure, every heartbreak, every rejection, it's all ammunition. It's the fuel that will drive you forward, the foundation on which you'll build your empire. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from strength. And that makes you unstoppable. Do you feel it yet? That spark of potential? That whisper in the back of your mind that says, "What if I can?" Hold on to that. Fan that spark into a flame, because that's your power. That's the part of you they couldn't destroy, no matter how hard they tried. That's the part of you that's been waiting for this moment, to rise, to fight, to claim what's yours. It starts with a decision, a simple, profound decision to take back your power, to stop waiting for permission, validation, or approval and start creating the life you want. You don't need their permission to dream. You don't need their approval to succeed. You don't need their validation to know your worth. You already have everything you need. It's inside you, and let's not pretend this will be easy. It won't be. Building resilience is messy, painful, and uncomfortable. But isn't that what you've been doing all along? You've already walked through fire. Now it's time to use that fire to light your way forward. Because resilience isn't about never falling. It's about getting up every single time, stronger and more determined than before. Picture it, the life you've always dreamed of. The one you've been too afraid to chase because you didn't think you deserved it. Imagine waking up every day with purpose, with confidence, with a fire in your heart that no one can extinguish. Imagine looking back at the people who doubted you, not with anger, but with pride, because you proved them wrong without ever needing their approval. Imagine becoming the person you were always meant to be, the version of yourself that's been waiting beneath the surface, ready to rise. This is your turning point. This is where you stop surviving and start thriving. Where you stop letting life happen to you and start taking control, where you turn your pain into power, your fear into fuel, your doubt into determination. This is where you rise. Because here's the truth, they wanted you to fail, but they underestimated you. They didn't see the resilience you were building, the strength you were cultivating, the fire you were keeping alive. They didn't see it then, but they'll see it now. And when they do, your success will be undeniable. It will be blinding. It will be unstoppable. So stand up, take a deep breath, feel the fire inside you. It's time to rise. It's time to fight. It's time to show the world exactly who you are. The hero you've been waiting for is already here. It's you, and you're ready. This is it, the moment you've been waiting for. The moment you finally see what has been inside you all along. For too long, you've lived in the shadows of doubt, fear, and despair. For too long, you've let the voices of others drown out the roar of your own. But no more. Today, you wake up. Today, you realize that the power they tried to take from you has always been yours. Let's start with the lies. They said you couldn't do it. They looked at you and saw limits, not possibilities. They measured you by their own fears and insecurities. You're not smart enough, they said. You're not strong enough. You're not worthy enough. But here's what they didn't understand. Their words have no power over you unless you give it to them. And you're done giving them that power. Every doubt they planted in your mind has only made you stronger. Every time they told you no, it pushed you closer to yes. Every time they closed a door, they didn't see that you were already building a new one. That's the thing about people like you. You don't break, you bend. You adapt, you learn, you grow. And every obstacle they threw in your path, it became a stepping stone. Think about it, really think about it. All the pain, the rejection, the failure, wasn't the end of you, it was the making of you. It was the fire that burned away the lies and left you with nothing but your truth. And that truth, it's this: you are capable, you are powerful, you are enough. They said you couldn't, but here you are, still standing, still fighting, still dreaming. Do you realize how extraordinary that is? Do you understand how many people give up, how many people let life defeat them? But not you. You didn't just survive, you thrived. Even in the darkest moments, you held on. And now it's time to let go of the darkness and step into the light. Let me paint a picture for you. Close your eyes and imagine it. The moment you finally succeed, the moment you reach the top of the mountain they said you could never climb, feel wind on your face, the weight lifting off your shoulders, the fire in your chest that says, I did it. Imagine the look on their faces, the ones who doubted you, the ones who tried to hold you back. They'll be speechless, not because they're angry or jealous, but because they won't believe what they're seeing. Your success will be so bright, so undeniable that it will blind them. Not because you wanted revenge, but because they could never have imagined the strength you were capable of. But here's the thing, their reaction doesn't matter. This moment, it's not for them. It's for you. It's for the version of you that cried in silence, that doubted their worth, that almost gave up. It's for the you that kept going even when every step felt impossible. This is your victory, your triumph, your proof that you are always enough. Do you feel it yet? That shift, that spark of recognition that says, this is who I am, this is who I was always meant to be, because that's the truth. You've been powerful all along. You've been capable all along. The only thing that changed is that now you see it too. Let's talk about the future. Your future. It's not a question mark anymore. It's an exclamation point. It's not a dream that feels out of reach. It's a reality waiting to happen. Because now you know the secret. Your pain was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you. Your doubts were never meant to stop you. They were meant to challenge you. And every time you faced those challenges, every time you refused to give up, you were proving that you are unstoppable. So what does triumph look like for you? Is it walking into a room with your head held high, knowing you've earned your place? Is it building the life you always dreamed of? The one they said you couldn't have? Is it waking up every day with purpose, confidence, and joy, knowing you've reclaimed your power? Whatever it is, it's yours for the taking. No one can give it to you, and no one can take it away. It's yours. They wanted you to fail, but their expectations were never your reality. Their doubts were never your truth. Their limitations were never your boundaries. And now here you are, standing on the brink of a life they never thought you could have. A life you've built with your own two hands. A life that shines so brightly, it lights the way for others. Because that's the thing about success. It's contagious. When you rise, you don't just lift yourself. You lift everyone around you. Your story becomes a beacon. A reminder that resilience is real, that hope is powerful, that success is possible. And the people who doubted you, they'll see it too. They'll see that you were never the person they thought you were. You were always more. So here's the question. Are you ready to claim it? Are you ready to take everything they said you couldn't have and make it your reality? Pretend for a moment, because this is your moment, your turning point. The moment when you stop doubting and start doing. When you stop waiting and start acting. When you stop surviving and start thriving. They wanted you to fail, but they underestimated you. They didn't see your strength, your resilience, your fire. But now, they'll see it. The world will see it. And most importantly, you will see it. Because your success, it's not just about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you are always enough. Success is the great alternative to burnout. It's about moving from fear, not abandoning yourself, but pursuing passion. Life is about brave choices and stupid choices. This is your time, your story, your triumph, the turning point that changes everything. So rise, shine, and let the world see exactly who you are. The hero of your own story, the warrior who refused to quit, the person who turned pain into power, doubt into determination, and dreams into reality. This is who you are, and the world is about to find out.